All right, I am officially starting the block number 11 for Adventure in Log Cabin, Adventure, no S, in Log Cabin. We are up to block 11. I want to welcome everyone who is on with me today. Right now we have about 6 people. Um, Hopefully that will climb a little bit. Usually we have quite a few more than that. But usually it's just time. It takes time for everybody to come in. All right, block 11. You guys, we are almost there. We have this block, one more block, and then we have all the trim-ins, all the stuff that we do to connect everything. And next week, next Sunday, we'll talk more about that, about what you need to do after we're done with the block, so to be more prepared for that last one, okay? Then we'll probably take 1 week break, not from the live, because the live will still be on, but from doing a particular block, and we'll just have some fun. We'll do a sew-along, maybe work on a UFO, just to give me an extra week to make sure that we have kind of the new pattern all polished off. We've been working very diligently to put the pattern together and have it ready for you so we can start the very next one. But in the meantime, let's get going on this one. All right, so here's my fabrics. Now we have, I actually wrote this down. We have fabric B, we have fabric C, fabric F, fabric G, and then we have fabric H, fabric J, and then right here we have the background fabric, or your fabric K. Okay, so these are all the fabrics we have. And yes, you are going to cut all of what was on the instructions. There was no error in this one that I found. So we are all up and ready to go. So we're going to do this kind of in a, we're going to lay it out first so you can see exactly how we're going to do this. And this is how we're going to lay it out. You're going to take okay, there we go. The easiest way to do this is to lay this out first. This is the way it's going to look. Okay, so these are the rows we're going to be doing first. Okay. That does not look like a 1 by 1. Nope, that's pretty close. It's a little off, but not bad. Okay. So this is the first row we're going to do. So basically what I want you to do is I want you to take this long one right here. Colors, please. Okay. So this is going to be your J and your H, and this one is your B. So you're going to need, we're going to do 4 sets of each. 4 sets of this and 4 sets of this. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to put this one here, like this, and go ahead and do all of them. We're just going to do all of them like that. All these 2s. And you set these aside for right now. So set the short ones aside. So we're going to take a B, and we're going to take a long one, and we're going to put them all together. And then we're going to stitch them all at one time. Okay? Does that make sense? After we're getting all these done, you should still have 4 of these left over. So leave them there because we will get to those. All right, but let's go ahead and iron these open. I'm gonna put those back up here. Let's get these ironed, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna iron it so that it folds to the inside, okay? So if you put it this way when you're ironing, then you just have to fold it over. Just make sure you don't get that that other piece caught up, like it doesn't flip up on you. Yeah, Joe read most of those books, most of the Reacher books. And I do enjoy that one. He just, I don't know, Tom Cruise versus, this new guy in the TV series. I mean, there's definitely a whole different, I don't know, dynamic. Because I don't think Tom Cruise was quite as, kill them all, let God sort them out kind of person. Sheila said, read them all. Yeah, I'm really not the person to ask about it or, to even really talk about it because I don't know the books. Not really my type of book. I'm more of a romance. Give me a romance book any day. Okay. Alrighty, now we are going to put the other half of this on. So you're going to grab these pieces and you're going to add the purple to the short side. Okay? So it should look like this. Long on the end, short one in the middle. Okay? But I will say I really enjoyed it. And it's got a lot of stars in it. People I haven't seen for a while. And just some really great actors in there. So I really enjoyed watching it. Okay. Now we're going to do the blue, or in this case it would be the J, and we're going to add the J's. The 1 piece to the 3 piece. 2 piece to the 3 piece. Does that make sense? Am I doing all right today, guys? I feel like last week I was all over the place, and I'm just hoping I'm better today. Okay. So it's going to go like this. Short piece, long piece, long piece. Sometimes if you just break a block down into smaller bite-sized pieces, then it doesn't seem so daunting. So sometimes when you look at a block and it's like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could do that. It's so tough. But if you just break it down into small bite-sized pieces, then you'll find that it's not as bad as you thought. I kind of use the elephant analogy. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Of course, I don't think I would like elephant. And we're going to line them right back up. But yeah, it's just a matter of finding what works for you. And I know I've heard some of the kids say that they, comic books, older adults who have later on in life done better. I need to move that down just a little bit. Talked about how, what got them started was comic books. If that works for you, then you do it. It's like Sweet May. She her thing is the dog series, the dog book series. I don't even know what it's called now. It kind of flew right out of my head. But that's what she likes, and it works for her. And as long as she'll keep reading it, and I think it's kind of like a graphic novel or a cartoon, a book, comic book in book form. They call those graphic novels. Would you go over the order of the pieces again? Sure. So Here, let's go back here. Okay. So when you have these open, this is what you're looking for. This is an H. This is a long H. This is a B, one of the squares. This is a short H. This is a B, one of the squares. And this is the long H. So it's long, square, short, square, long. And then the blues are the same way. And we're just doing up all of this one piece, this one section of the block. So long J, so J, B, J, B, J. Long, short, long. Long, square, short, square, long. And these are the J's. Does that help? Am I in the view? I can't tell if I'm in the view. Oh, there. Okay, yep, Miss Claudine says move it. Okay. Sorry about that. I was hoping I had it all the way down to at least down to the numbers, but maybe I don't. So J, B, J, B, J, H, B, H, B, H. Long, short, long, long, short, long, square, square. Okay, and then we're just going to flip those over just like that. And you're going to flip it over just like that, and this is the last piece. Well, the last piece of this part. Okay, so let's get back over here. Yeah, and if you need me to back up or slow down, I will slow and go as slow as I need to. Because this one is a little bit different than what we've been doing. You're very welcome, Miss Diane. I hope it helped. You know, and these pieces are so easy because they're so thin that it's very easy to get them off. So just take your time and thread it in slowly. Use a stiletto if you need one, if you need to have extra handhold. And Sheila's right, you know, if you use a smaller stitch, it might help you to control it better. But like I said, the problem with that is also it's a little harder to rip the small ones out. How do I know? I've been ripping out a quilt for the last couple of weeks now. Because I wound up, the stitch wasn't as tight as I would like for it to be. So I wound up ripping out the whole thing. Because I want it to look, I want it to look right. This is important. The one that I was doing was important, so. Well, they're all important. That's a misnomer. They're all important. Okay. Once we get them all stitched together, we're going to take them off again. And at this point, you should have 4 long pieces of each color. 4 long pieces of each color. Now, if you've never been in my Etsy shop, go look around in my Etsy shop. I actually put up all my Valentine fabric that I have available, which I didn't realize I actually had that much. But I do have all my Valentine fabric up, and it's available for sale. Can we have some ironing time? Sure. I am assuming that means you just want me to slow down so you guys can kind of catch up in the ironing. I'll go a little bit slower. Yeah, I tend to try to iron them all. It's kind of like chain piecing. I do chain ironing. Maybe I should do a little reel or a short on that. How to chain iron. Yeah. Let's see. Let's move this up here a little bit. So if you lay them like this, when you go to iron, you can just flip it over And that will be the direction that you're going to iron it, is just like that. In fact, this would be a good time to do a little bit of oh, what did I do with it? Oh, I know I moved it around. Yep, I did. That's right. I did. I moved it around. This would be a good time to use your iron, your wood iron, because then you can just kind of run a seam over it like that. Oops, turn the right way. So if you turn it up so the short part we just put on is up, flip it over. There we go. Just giving y'all a little extra time to get some of that ironing done. Actually, this worked out pretty good. I mean, you know how much I love using my my wood iron. And there's the last one. I'm going to bring my little iron over, give it a little press, and I'll throw my tailor clappers on top of it. Give it a minute to cool off. Ugh. I hope you didn't sew something on there backwards, Miss Laura. That'd be terribly frustrating. Anyways, so if you have these, you are done with this one for right now, and you can set this aside. Do you need me to leave them right here? Because I can leave them right there. Yep, I did it wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Laura. Nope, it's just supposed to be one long, then a short, a long, a square, a short, a square, a long. Basically three pieces. It's like Morse code. Yeah, it is kind of like Morse code. Beep, 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 beep. I have no idea what I just said. I mean, as far as the beeps go. But that's what it's supposed to look like. So just kind of go by that. The red ones are easier to see in the camera than the So if you're counting the squares, there's literally 5 pieces. If you're counting just the shorts and the long, there are 3. 2 of them are long and 1 of them are short. Lost. No, Miss Laura, don't be lost. I wish I could see what you did, Miss Laura, just so I could help you. But if somehow you sewed 2 of the short ones together, it sounds like you just need to take the short ones out. Take one set of short ones out. But this is what they should look like right now. And if we have to, just set that off to the side and we'll do the next one, okay? Don't worry about it, set it off to the side. So here's our next one. Let me pull my paper out here, just so I don't mess this up. Okay. But this is, actually, Miss Laura, this is where we're going to need those short ones. This is where the short ones come into. So you're going to take I'm going to lay it out for you, okay? Let's see, blue, red. So we need the reds for these. My other one, the one I finished up last night or this morning, the colors were different because I used the bee fabric, so I use a lot of yellows. Okay, But we do need those other two, the other short ones. So if you need time to maybe cut some more, excuse me, or just rip those out. When I say rip out, seam rip, don't literally rip them out. But this is what we're going to do next. So here's how it's going to go. Let's do the first row first. We're going to do this one first. This one is going to be, you're going to use your light blue, which is color F. Then you're going to use your color H. And then your squares from color C. So we've got our light blue, color F, color H, which is dark red, and then this is going to be your color C. This is going to be C, which is lavender, light purple, whichever one you want to call it. Back to a red. This is one of the short ones, so back to the red, which is H, and then color F, which is your light blue. So C, H, no, yeah, light blue, F, H, C, H, F. Light blue, dark red, light purple, dark red, light blue. We're going to move these down and get them out of the way for right now. So we're going to set up 2 of these. Okay, set them up exactly as you see them. Just these pieces right here in the center. Set them up exactly as you see them. This is how you want to stitch them. Okay? Where's my other purple? Oh, there it is. There's my other purple. I'm going to give you a second to make sure you have that right. Everybody ready? Red eye. Okay. Put these on here. All right, I'm just going to pick that up and move it up here. It'll be easier. Okay. Now, let me grab my mark, let's see, and we are going to stitch. I was ready to start stitching, then I realized I couldn't. Okay. Here we go. We're going to go with this one this way, this one this way, this one this way, and this one this way. And we're going to stitch right down here, okay? So let's go ahead and get to it. Camera, come on, camera. Okay. We're going to move those out of the way for just a second. Now, because of the way we have the other ones ironed, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to iron it out towards the colors, towards the blue. So we're going to iron it this way. Okay, everybody see that? Nope. Okay. So we're going to put the red down, and we're going to flip the blue over so that we're ironing towards the blue. Iron towards the blue. Yes, I dropped something off my sewing machine. Okay. Again, put the red down, flip the blue over, and iron towards the blue. And I'll iron those just a minute. Red down, flip the blue over, iron towards the blue. Red down, flip it over, iron towards the blue. All right, let's go ahead and give that a quick press. And this is what I call chain ironing. Get that out of the way. All right. Okay, everybody up with me? Now if you put them back in your row, let me make sure I'm up high enough so you can see it. It should look like this. Okay? You have the light blue, the dark red, the lavender or light purple. I call it lavender, so we're going to call it lavender. Light blue, dark red, lavender, dark red, light blue. Okay? And we're going to flip that over and sew one side together. Okay, everybody ready? One more time. We're going to take the center piece, this center square, and we're going to flip it over and sew it to a dark red side. Leave this one alone. There's nothing else you can do with it right now. Take the purple, flip it over onto the dark red. Okay, let's go sew that. Okay. And we're going to snip that apart right there. Here we go. 5 pieces. Light blue, dark red, lavender, dark red, light blue. This is what it should look like, what we're up to right now. Okay? And we're going to flip it over just like this. We're going to put the dark red down on top of the purple. Make sure everything looks nice and lined up. And we're going to do these 2 pieces. Okay? Okay, and here's the last piece, and then we're going to work on the next section, because then this piece will be done. This actually works up pretty quickly once you kind of get the hang of how it's supposed to go on there. Because I kind of got these done quickly this morning. Okay. All right, so for flipping these over to iron, you're going to flip it so that your lavender, red, and blue is facing down, just like this. So right now you should have them laying there like this, and then we're going to flip it this way. And that'll put the seam on the outside. Then we're going to iron that. Okay. Then if you look at the back of it, see how they're facing out? And then if you look at the back of the blue, it's facing in. And this is how we're going to keep our seams nested together. Okay? All right, so these pieces are done. We're going to set those off to the side, and we're going to work on the last two pieces. Well, there's actually another piece. Okay. Now, this is what your next one should look like. You're going to have the pink. Pink is G. G, and your J, which is your dark blue. Your lavender, which is C. And your J, dark blue. And G for your pink. Okay? 5 pieces, just like we just did, okay? Miss Laura, how you doing? Is it looking good? Is it coming together for you? And there's that one. And then we're going to do the same thing we just did. We're going to flip it over this way. And flip this one over this way. And this way. So if you were doing a bunch of these, okay, great. If you were doing a bunch of these blocks, not just one, I would recommend doing exactly the same way. Do all of one section, all of another section, just take it in small bites. Okay, and let's take it over to the sewing machine and get it put together. I'm starting to get a little bit of a headache. I don't know if it's just because my glasses are on my head and it's a little tight. Okay. And we're going to stitch that together. So we got the dark blue on top of the pink, and we're just going to put all of them together just like that. Okay, and last one. Okay. And again, since I only have a couple of them, I'm just going to snip them apart right here. All right, let's take them back over here. I'm going to get my camera. Camera. There we go. I should probably move my project board. It probably doesn't handle the heat. Heat does come through these wool mats. Okay, so same thing. We want it to go, we're going to put the dark blue face down, and we're going to flip it over so that we're ironing towards the pink. Okay. KK. Iron towards the pink. All right, let's get this spread out a little bit, and I can iron it. I do love that wood iron. That thing, it just amazes me. Every time I use it, I'm like, wow. Because I just don't, my nails, I have pretty good nails, but they tend to break, especially my little fingers, my index. Oh, gosh, I can't even think of the name of it. Not index finger. Pointer finger. My pointy finger. Those break the most because of the way I grab things and I hold on to them. And then if they slip out of my finger, then it breaks the nail off. And it hurts. Makes me crazy. Okay, let's get this back in line here. Okay, 5 pieces. Pink, dark blue, lavender, dark blue, pink. And now we're going to flip this over here, just like this. And then we're going to flip this one back over here. Okay, and these are going to stay. And we're going to go over and stitch them down. Now remember, you're welcome to re-watch it. I'll have it up on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. They say it's up for at least a month. So you can always watch it on Facebook again if you need to go a little bit slower. Okay. Okay. Camera. Okay, and same thing. We're still ironing towards the pink. Well, I'm sorry. Ironing towards the lavender. That's not pink, it's lavender. So we're going to have the pink up, blue side. It's going to be facing upward, right side up, and the lavender side, wrong side up. And we're going to fold it over this way. Because we want that seam to be going out. Okay, now let's get it back in line. We have one more stitch to make. We're going to flip this over, and we're going to put the dark blue to the other side of the lavender. Okay? So we're going to take the dark blue and we're just going to flip it over this way. Okay, and let's take that over and stitch it down. Okay. Alrighty. All right, camera. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go this direction. And one more time, we're going to iron it towards the purple. So it's going to go this way. And then this one's going to go this way. Ironing towards the purple. Okay, everybody follow that? So you got purple side up, the wrong side of the purple up, Wrong side of the purple up. We're going to fold it over so that as we're ironing it to the purple. Iron it towards the purple. And this is what your piece should look like when you're done ironing. Okay. Now this next section, we're going to, the reds are going to the pink sections and the blues are going to the dark blue section. So we've got red and it's going to go to this one. So here's what we need to do. Let's do the blues first and then we'll come back. Okay? So we're going to put this here, one on each side. Okay? So we're going to flip this one over and you're going to nest right in there. And now I'm going to show you about nesting. And most of you have done nesting before, but here's what we're nesting. Let's see if you can see it. We're just going to take it and slide it up until it butts up against the other seam and just make sure it's straight across the top. And if it's not, just move it down. But again, you want to make sure that your seams are nesting right up next to each other. Okay? Now, when I was working it, I was putting a pin in both sides to keep that from slipping, but I think we're okay on this one. Oh, let me get my glasses on. Yeah, that's a little better. All right. And that seam should naturally nest on the other side, but just kind of feel for it and slide it right up to it. Okay? And then pin it in place. And this is where I tend to have a little problem because I like to make sure that my needle on my sewing machine actually makes it onto the fabric to keep it from sliding away from me. And that's why I tend to run over a lot of my pins. Okay, got that one. And then we're going to take a look at this. Hard to see because that dark purple and the dark blue blend in a lot better than I think than anticipated. Okay, and that's one whole side. And you want to be careful when stitching down here because you don't want to stretch it or pull too much. So let's put that one over there and then let's do the next one. Again, we're just going to take it and slide it right up to the next seam. Put a pin in it so it doesn't get away from us. Check the other side and make sure that the seam is where it should be. Looks good. And then put this one here. Can you see it okay? Just get my fingers in there a little better. Just like that. So they nest right up against each other. And pin. But definitely keep your fingers on it. And again, once you're done, if you've done your seams well, they should nest, that other side should nest right in there. But feel for it and make sure. Okay, and let's go ahead and come on over to the sewing machine and get these two pieces put together. There we go. Once I get the needle into the first flip over, then I feel confident pulling my pin out. But until I get it on that first little lip, that first flip, I'm nervous about pulling my pin. And that's usually why I wind up running over pins, because I'm trying not to let it slide out from underneath. Wow, that was close. And it didn't even hit, but it sure looked like it should have. Okay, let's bring the other one over. Okay, got it. Okay. Now that time I did hit the pin. I felt it. I think the last one I was talking about running over my pins, and that's not a good thing to do, you know. And a woman sent me a message and said, "I was so worried about you." I thought, "Oh, that's so sweet." Because yeah, I do have a tendency to just run over pins. All right. Let's come over and see how we did. Let's get the camera. Okay, got it. All right. Now, one thing I've been doing is on these, and see, it feels like I've stretched it a little bit. I've been turning it this way. But this is where you want to look and see how you did. This is what's important. This is where you can check your seams to make sure that they went where they were supposed to. And let me tell you, my last ones were awful. That last block I put together was just not good. This would also be a good time to iron this particular seam open, because it might help to alleviate some of that bulk that you're going to get, because you are going to get bulk. Uh-oh. Said my video went out. Everybody still with me? I see it's trying to freeze up. All right. I'm going to stick with it the way I was doing it, because that's just, when I don't have my pressing bar, that is a pain. Let me grab my Lady Dean pressing spray. Oh, what's for dinner? Yeah, Miss Claudine, what's for dinner? What'd you bring? What'd you bring, Craig? I feel like that wasn't on there good enough. We'll find out. Turn my pen there. Ran over my pen. I didn't feel it that time, though. And one more. Salad. Oh, ooh, lobster and crabs and salad. We were looking at a lobster roll yesterday when we were at the class. It's like, yeah, no. I mean, I realize lobster is expensive, but wow. They had these lobster rolls, which the price on the lobster was actually really good, but they didn't give a whole lot of meat on it. In fact, I'll be honest, even the bread looked a little small, but you know, it's lobster rolls. What can you say? All right, let's bring it over here. Okay, we're gonna move these up from right now. Let's do the pinks. No, the blues. We'll finish up the blues. And we're going to put it down like this so that the back side of the blues are up. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over and go this direction. See, my seam was a little off there, and it was this one. Now, I could take that out and fix it, but I'm not gonna. Okay. I can live with it. Everybody else can live with it. I can live with it. I'm spoiled. Miss Claudine says I'm spoiled. Yeah, he takes good care of his mama. You want to know how a man's going to treat a wife? Look and see how he treats his mama. It's not always the case, but for the most part, if a man will treat his mama good, he's going to treat his wife good. Okay, let's give it a quick spray. I'm going to just kind of tug in just a little bit here because I feel like it's a little bit crooked. And I'm probably just going to make that worse. There, that feels better. There, isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? Okay. Okay, let's flip this over here. Yeah, I didn't do so good on that one right there, did I? That's okay, still looks good. Ah, yeah, need my iron, need my wood iron. Okay. that one's ready for the second piece. I am giving it a little bit of a tug here. Okay. And then I'm going to flip this over. Yeah, those match up a lot better. I think it must have been one of the, I did notice that some of my purple squares were not quite as square as I was hoping. Okay, looks good. Looks good. All right. Now let's get those last two pieces on, and we are almost done. So let's bring those down here. We got this one here and this one here. Everybody doing okay? So here, here, and here. And I need my pins. Okay, I nested that piece right there. And we're going to nest the next piece. It falls pretty much right in place. And then nest this piece right here. Again, we're just going to kind of slide it right up till it bumps into it. When it does, usually that means they're right next to each other. And you can put that pin in there. And then if you put it in there, yep, right there. Okay, that one's ready. And then we're going to take this one and flip it down. Yep, that looks good. And slide that right up to that seam, nest that seam together. What's everybody else eating tonight? I think we're going to do spaghetti. I found a gluten-free spaghetti noodle, and I'm trying some gluten-free stuff. So I think we're going to try a gluten-free spaghetti noodle. They're going to have regular spaghetti. So that's what's on the dinner for tonight for me. Okay. Now the very next thing we're going to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin them together, is we're going to add K. We're going to put K on here. Okay? All right? So we're going to put this here, and this is going to go right here. Now I noticed the last time that it wasn't quite, it was just a little bit out. And so here's what I'm going to tell you to do. At this point, I would say go ahead and trim it down so that it matches the black, the K. Okay? See how I've got a little bit over? Go ahead and trim it down just a little bit. Because otherwise you're going to have a lot over. All right, we'll come back to this. Hang on. We'll come back to it. Let's get this other one sewn together first. Oh, doggone it. Where is this coming from? Oh. Apparently I have this rust color thread that just comes unraveling, and it kept clinging to my hand every time I was trying to pick something up. I'd wind up with this long string of rust colored thread. Okay, and last one over here. Okay. Okay. Now we are ready. Here's the finished section. This is what the finished section looks like. I didn't do too bad about the camera. This was the first one, the first really bad one, which is funny because I keep looking up at the tablet to see, and I didn't even notice it. Okay, so we're using the black one to see how far off. I mean, you just need to trim up a little bit. We do square these up a little bit, and since we can't really square it per se, I just use the black one to see. This one's a lot closer than the other one was. Yeah, I'll have a lot of editing to do tonight. After I get dinner done. Okay, that one's good. We're going to put these over here. Then I'll bring it back in a second. Yeah, the first ones I tried to put together, after I sewed these sections together, I was like, why is it not going together? Because it has to be, I have to trim it down just a little bit. Just a little bit. And again, I want to try and make sure these are kind of even. That is not even. That's a little better. Okay. All right. And we have one more to do, and then we're ready to start putting them together. And like I said, we are almost finished. We are just so close to the finish line. Finish line. This one looks pretty good too. That. Make sure I'm still on target here. Yep, looks good. Looks good. Keep my fingers out of the way. No cutting off fingers tonight. Finger cutting would be bad, especially since I have to make dinner. Okay. Let's get that out of the way for a minute. Okay. So now here's what's next. Probably the easiest way to do this is to just put this section up top and this down here. Had to take a break. Glad you're still here. We are still here. I'm sorry. I really try hard not to let these be more than an hour and a half. And here lately, it just seems like I was going over a lot. So, but we are almost finished. All right. So once you have this section ready, then we're just going to put the black on here, and we're going to sew it down. Now, I'll be honest, it doesn't really matter which. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter which side you put it on, because if you put it on the wrong side, you can always just turn it around, and voila, you're back to the right side. Okay, so let's just put it on here, and we're going to stitch each of those down. So we have the red one right here, and the red one is the same way. We're just going to stitch your K fabric to your top section, and we're going to do all 4 of them. Okay, so let's go back over here and start stitching away. And I'm not going to put a pin in it just because I feel like I can keep it. I say that tongue in cheek. I feel like I can keep it straight. I can feel those seams wanting to flip up on me. But fortunately they have stayed down. Okay. And then we're going to do this one. Okay, now we're doing the red. Just kind of putting those edges together. Stop and check, make sure it's not going off track. And I think I still had to go back later after I was done with this and getting it all together, and still had to trim it down to 12.5. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there. Okay. That's all 4 of those. Let's get these ironed open. And we're going to iron to the black. We're going to iron to the black. Camera, hang on. Almost ready. Just don't want to forget to change the camera again. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that purple was a little bit big. That's the only thing I can think of is the purple was big. Okay, that's one down. That's 2 down. Three. Now by this point you should only have 1 piece of fabric left on your board that you haven't touched yet. And it should be your background fabric K that's a square. That should be left. That should be all that you have left. And now we're going to put that last piece on. So are you ready? Here it is, last piece. Turn your pattern this direction, and you're going to put that square right there. Do you see it? So if your fabric section that we put together is at the top, the black or the K is at the bottom, then you're going to take your square of K and put it up here, top left corner, and you're going to flip it over. Pin it down, whatever you need to. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Only sew to right about here. Sew from here to here and stop. Sew from here at this end here all the way to here and then stop. Okay? And in fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea to backstitch just 1 or 2 stitches. Just give it a quick backstitch. Okay? All right, let's come over to the And let's take care of that right now. We're going to come right up to the pin. And backstitch. Okay. All right, let's do the camera. We're going to iron this open. We're going to try not to iron that. I just think that if you don't iron it, it's going to help later. So we're just going to kind of give that a quick little iron right there. Now you have your red now, and now you want to use a blue. Okay, so we just did a red section. Now we're going to do a blue section, and we're going to put it right there. And now you can go from the top all the way to the bottom. You don't need to stop anywhere. So let's go ahead and go over here to the sewing machine, and let's get that on there. Oops, sorry. Gotta love that PQ 1500. That thing can whiz right through there. All right, I just want to make sure I'm on there good. Okay. All right, camera, there we go. All right, so let's put it, so we just finished putting this piece on. We're going to put it face down. We're going to flip this one over. Oh, you know what, guys? Oh, I can't believe I just did that. Hang on. Oh, been standing too long today. My back is killing me. You know what I forgot? What I forgot was we need to watch out for, got to get that going. We have to match up the seams. I was just slapping it on there. Usually this goes so much faster. It's getting a little dull, I guess. Do I have another one in there? No. Okay, let's see. All else fails, use the other one. Oop. So we had a guest speaker come out to the guild and teach, and she taught, and this was her thing. She said this is how she does her seam ripping when she's not ripping out the fabric, apparently. No, she's better at it than I am. Okay. And then it's just supposed to come apart. Ta-da! All right. All right, so what we were supposed to do when we were matching these up is to match up those, was easy on the first one because we didn't have to match anything up. Okay, so we're supposed to nest up these seams right here. So that's kind of a duh moment there. It's like, duh. Ooh, that's going to be a tight squeeze. That is a big difference. That is a big difference. I'll squeeze it in there somehow. I am going to just kind of squeeze it in there. Okay. Now we can take it over. Make sure that flipped over. Where's my seam ripper? Yep, it flipped over. It's okay. Okay, now let's come back over to the other camera. And we're going to flip this over this direction. I'm going to try and iron that out so it doesn't look quite like that. Yeah, that is the amazing power of steam sometimes, or starch. You can just spray it and it looks almost normal. Yay! Okay, the next one we're going to do is this one, and we did red, blue, and now we're back to red. So we're going to grab our red one. Wow, that looks like way off. What did I do? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to flip that black one over here so that I can get that in there, nest that up. Okay, got that nested, that one nested. And then this one goes here. Again, we're pinning it. And the last one actually feels like it's going to nest. Yay! Get that pin in there. All right. That cut is a little weird. Okay. Get my pins back over. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, everybody hanging in. We got 11 now. Wow. Who decided to join us at the last minute? Feel free. I love it when people come in. I don't even care if they're coming in late. Okay, so let's flip this over. As you can see, we actually did manage to meet up with those spots pretty good. I think I did better on my first one than I did on this one. And I did worse on the second one than I did on this one. I think it's just a matter of repetition. Once you kind of get the hang of it. Oh, and don't forget we had to trim a little off all the way around, so it also does change the size. All right, so then we're going to do our last blue one. And we're going to match up those seams. I'm going to fold that back one out. Doesn't feel like it's quite in there yet. That feels a little better. Okay. And that goes there, that nested. At least it feels like it did. And then we're going to do this one here. And then that one there. All right. We're almost finished, y'all. Let's go back to the other camera. almost made it without running over any. Okay, now here's where we're going to take this one and fold it out like this so that it matches up on our end, on our tip. Go ahead and fold it out as much as you can. I was thinking we'd still have one more seam to go before we hit this, but we don't. Okay, got it? That's why if you give yourself a little more space, don't quite go up to 1/4 of an inch. I mean, stay back more than 1/4 of an inch when you're putting that first seam in. Then it'll give you some room. Okay. Now let's come over here. We're going to iron this out real quick, and then we're going to finish up that last seam. Okay. Not too bad. Let's give it a little spray. All right, now we're going to finish this up by flipping this over and using the seam from before to follow along. So here was the very first seam that we stopped way ahead of 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and match up our last 2 seams. Right here and here and then here and then right there. Okay, flip that over just so that we get that in there. All right. And then we're almost done. Let's go ahead and change that camera angle again. We're going to begin basically where we stopped. Okay, there's that. And then just a little less straightening up there. Sometimes I think when we put those pins in, they actually cause more of an issue than just holding our fabric together, because they buckle and fold. And that's where the clips come in handy, but sometimes they can slide. Okay, that's it. Basically, that is the last seam we have to put in. We want to make sure that if the seam on the other side folds that way, we want to make sure we put that seam in the same direction. All right, let's give it a quick spray. Iron it down. And then we're going to check. Oop, I think I did that. Got a little wild there. And this is from where I ripped out that one section. Okay. All right, so now here's where we check it. And trim up any extra that we need to. And it actually looks really good. On my last one, I had to trim it up a lot. So yeah, no, it looks like it's good all the way around. Maybe a little bit on this side, maybe just a smidge on that side, but no, that looks good, 12.5. All right, y'all. Woohoo. Let's get back up here. All right, y'all. Woo. Okay. Great job sticking with me today. Thank you so much. This is our finished block. It's called the Log Cabin 2, T-O-O. Log cabin 2, as in log cabin also. Um, you're probably wondering, log cabin? Well, guess what? It is. It's just a little variation, a little bit something different. I really like it. I love the colors. Um, I think it'll really add something to your sampler quilt. But if for some reason you feel like this log cabin is just a little too much, which I hope it's not, because again, if you just do little small chunks of it at a time, you'll find that it's worth it. It's worth putting this one together. Um, so, but if you feel like that's just a little too much, or maybe you don't even like that one, just double up on one of the other blocks. Figure out which block is your favorite and double up on it. All right, we have one more block to go. After that, they'll be doing that one next Sunday, and then the next Sunday, we're going to be doing the sashing cornerstones and putting on any borders. So we just have 2 more to go. All right, 2 more. Now, Monday, you're going to get your next block. It's going to come with a few pages, so make sure you print out all pages. There will be a reference point so that you can make sure that your printer is printing them out at the right size, because you really want these next, there's 4 pages that you want to all be the right size. So I will give you, a reference. So like 1 inch, or this is 1 inch, or this is 2 inches, and measure it, make sure it's 1 inch or 2 inches. If it's slightly smaller or slightly larger, see if you can adjust it, even if it's just a couple of points, a couple of dots here or there, and try to make it a little bit bigger if you have to. Hopefully, if you print it straight from the file that I'm going to send you, then you don't have to worry about whether or not you need to blow it up. It should print exactly as I send it, unless you're, it actually, sometimes you'll have a spot where it'll say fit to page. What you want to do is make sure it says actual size. Definitely do that. If you have that available and you have one that says actual size, fit to page, or something else, make sure you put actual size. Okay. All right. So that's for the printing that we're going to be doing from the next file. You haven't had to worry about it on any of them, but on this next one, you do need to worry a little bit about that. Okay. So we are almost done, and I can't wait because, man, you guys have been showing me some beautiful blocks. Usually within 2 days of finishing up a block, I'm getting pictures left and right so that I can post them on the page. If I've missed one, let me know, because sometimes you send it to me, I see it, I comment on to, I tell you how pretty it is, or what I think about your block, and then I may be somewhere where I can't get it posted right away. Sometimes in my the messenger's giving me fits, so if it comes in through there, sometimes I have to send it to myself, and then anyways, it's a whole rigmarole at times. But I want to do it. I want to make sure they get on there, and I want people to see your blocks. You are so welcome, Miss Jerry. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate it. So glad you're with us today. You must have been over there with Miss Claudine? Okay. All right. Cool. Or maybe you're at home. I don't know. Anyways, well, I'm just glad you're with us. Okay, so we are at the end of this one, and of course it's time for me to go make my spaghetti. So I just want to say thank you very much. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. Don't forget, if you want to be in on the next one, which is coming up soon, and it's going to be a little bit different from this, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you join, because don't worry, even if you join and you decide you don't want to do it, you never have to do anything. I'll just keep sending it to you, and you don't have to do anything with it. But at least you know. At least you have at least you have it, and it's a free pattern, because you're going to get it from me for free if you're on the list. If you're not, then you'll have to go in and purchase each week's clues. And for this next one, it will be clues and not patterns, because when we're done, you'll have one full pattern for a quilt, not just with different blocks. Okay, remember, send me a notice or something to make sure you're on my list. Right now, I think I only have about 12 or 14 people on that list, and on this last one we had like 35, so I want to make sure I get everybody on there that wants to be on there. Okay, all right, we're going to go ahead and close in prayer, and then we're going to let you guys go. All right, Father, thank you so much. What a wonderful week. I just thank you so much for bringing me my friend Donna, for having her with me, Father. It has been the rejuvenation that I have needed, and that so often we don't get to find time to be with friends. And I just thank you that you give me the opportunity on Sunday to be with friends, and then you send my angel Donna into my life for just a week or two, and then I get to enjoy it. And I just thank you for giving her a safe trip here and give her a safe trip home, as she will be leaving before the next live. And I just thank you and I give you all the honor, all the glory. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Listen, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Sorry, I know, teary-eye syndrome. You have a wonderful week that's coming up this next week. I hope you enjoy it. Tell me all about it. I can't wait to hear about it. I can't wait to see the blocks. And if you have any problems or any troubles, you can call me. You can send me a text message. You can email me if you're one of my YouTube family. You just send it srqquilter@gmail.com. I'm always happy to answer or talk. If you like the pattern, it's in my Etsy, which is srqquilter.etsy.com. And also you can message me there. I talk to a lot of people through my Etsy app. And I'm just grateful for everybody that has an opportunity to see this and enjoy the patterns as much as I do. And I just thank you for sharing with me. I hope you guys have a great, yes, Miss Sandy, I will make sure I add you to the list. And Miss Jerry's at home. All right, Miss Jerry, well, thank you so much for joining. Y'all, thank you again. I so appreciate it, and I appreciate you and all that you've done for me and the way you support me through my Facebook, through my YouTube, purchasing my products, purchasing my patterns. It means the world to me, and it just makes me feel like everything I do is so worth it when I know that you guys are excited about it and want to do it. Thanks again. Hugs to everyone. Just great big air hugs. Woo! Yay, 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 hugs. All right. You guys have a great week.